flexible when it comes to parenting your child. You may want to compromise, you may bend the rules a little bit just so you can accommodate your child and get them what they need. Or maybe you do that because there is no other parent, right? You're trying to overcompensate for the absence of the other parent, and you find yourself negotiating and compromising on something that should be standard. Now, my name is Taharka Sankara, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I'm a licensed clinical alcohol and drug counselor. I'm also certified in trauma-focused cognitive behavior therapy. And with that skill set, I empower parents and youth to refine the quality of their relationships so that they can increase their self-awareness, they can enhance their communication, and they can also develop some emotional management skills so that they can enjoy a peace of mind and ultimately transfer intergenerational health. So, what happens when a parent is overly flexible or find themselves in that position where there's a rule that may be set, there's a guideline that must be followed, and when a child has an opposing view or wants to make a different decision, you may find yourself being flexible. Now, I'm going to tell you why that may not be helpful in most situations. Because one of the things that children look for is stability, they look for structure, and they look for some order. Now, we are the ones that set the parameters, we lay the groundwork, the foundation of what it looks like to be consistent and what it looks like to have a structured lifestyle and what it looks like to have some standards. Now, if we're compromising with our standards that we set, some rules that we may put in place, but we don't follow them, and we don't necessarily require them to follow them, or it's iffy when and where do they follow them. So there may be some things that go on. You may have a support system, and that support system may be their grandparent, and their grandparent may allow something to go on that you wouldn't allow to go on, and that creates an imbalance in the structure. However, if you have a standard, you have a rule, you have a guideline, there's no way that the child could be with the grandparent, compromise, negotiate, and not follow through on the guideline, and then come home back with you, and there's no set consequence for them doing so. If you have a guideline in place, you maintain that guideline with you and your child, and not allow anyone else to disrupt that guideline or interfere with that standard that you're trying to set. Because what happens when the child doesn't get consistency, they learn not to be consistent. They learn that nothing really matters. There's no need for me to be disciplined. There's no need for me to follow the rule. I can negotiate my way out of it. And that's just not reality, right? Because there's certain situations that you can't negotiate out of, you can't compromise out of, and you don't want to get them in the habit of developing excuses and rationale of why something is okay today, but it wasn't okay yesterday, or something will be okay tomorrow when it wasn't okay today. So, if you find yourself in that position, being flexible, being compromising, and negotiating with your child, you want to stop it as soon as possible, because you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you're seeking to lay down a guideline, you're seeking to enforce a rule with your child, but they just really not cooperating with you in the way that you would like, because last week you allowed certain things to go by, but this week you want to make it a standard, then next week there's no rule. And oftentimes I find this happening with curfew. It may happen with the phone usage, the game usage, things like that, being out with friends and still having privileges and opportunity to do some things where there's no consistency in what the rules should be. So you want to set your children up for success, and the best way to set them up for success is to hold the line. If you have something in place, keep it in place. Don't allow yourself to be flexible. Don't allow yourself to over-compromise with them. But of course, there are some situations where things are happening and you may need to, move some things around, rearrange some things. That's okay. I'm speaking about, when you have that thought and you're questioning yourself about should I, shouldn't I, what's going to happen, what if this, what, and if you find yourself going through that dance with yourself, those thought process with yourself, you may not want to compromise. You may not want to be too flexible in that particular situation. And it's okay for your child to be upset. It's okay for your child to be disappointed at the moment, because what you're doing is actually seeking to set them up for success by having some clear rules, some clear boundaries, some parameters on how they should function as a child and eventually function as an adult and a parent. So if this is helpful to you, I want to invite you to join the Next Gen Parenting Group, which is a virtual village where you have an opportunity to interact and connect with other parents, like-minded adults that are working and dealing with children on a journey. And this can be supportive of you to developing some new insights, some new skills, and get some feedback, questions and answers, things that can be helpful. So join the Next Gen Parenting Group, and I look forward to seeing you in that room.